Good morning, everyone. It always helps to unmute. Welcome to everybody here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo. It is so good to be together. Welcome, welcome, and welcome again. My name is Joan Montagnes, and I have the privilege and the honor of serving you, this congregation, as minister. We're in a Zoom worship, Zoom, and it's a webinar, which means that we can't hear or see you. You can't hear or see each other. You can hear and see our worship associate, Bobby Withrow, and you can hear and see me. You can also chat with each other all the way through the service. And we offer closed captioning, which should be running along the bottom of your screen. If you can't see them, hit the CC button in your toolbar. They should pop up. And also, you can increase the font, or if you find them distracting, you can also hide them. I want to offer a big shout out to Josh Disick, John Petroselli, Justin DeClean, who is our tech today, Karen Streech, and Tracy Kassman, who's doing the play-by-play this week, and all our music staff who help create our worship experiences every single week. My goodness, we are blessed with an overflowing amount of talent and generosity. I want to just mention that it's May. It's May, and at the end of May, we hold a Memorial Day Sunday service. And this year, during our Memorial Day Sunday service, we'd like to celebrate the lives of your beloved dead in a slideshow. If you would like to include a photo of your loved one in our worship service that day, please send an electronic photo and the name of your loved one to Karen Streech by May 25th. And Karen's church email address is in the chat, I think. So a picture of your beloved dead, and feel free to put in multiple pictures of multiple people and send them in to Karen by May 25th. I want to remind you that every Friday night we have an in-person Vespers service outside the garden entrance every Friday night at 7 p.m. We have live music this week. It's Martha Malkowitz, and we'll want you to come on down for community, music, candlelight, poetry, and meditation. At the end of this worship service and at the end of all our worship services, we always hold a Zoom fellowship time, a time where you can meet and greet each other. It's a different kind of meeting, so you can see and hear each other, meet new friends, see old friends, have a great time. And the address for that meeting is in the chat, in the in the last slide of this worship service, in your newsletter, and in the e-blast. Now, I also have a special announcement, and it's not a happy one. I'm very sad to tell you that after 6 years of really, really wonderful service, Sarah Martin has resigned from her position as the religious education director at our church. She has offered us a ministry in which all children and youth were welcomed in love. Every child had a space in our service, in the classrooms, anywhere. She offered a ministry of radical inclusion and justice. We're going to miss her terribly and strive to learn from her teachings to continue her legacy in caring for our families into the years to come. We wish Sarah all the best in her future endeavors. A search committee for our next Director of Religious Education has been formed, and if you wish to connect with me about the search or about your feelings around Sarah's departure and our hopes for continuing faith development in our church, please feel free to contact me. I am available and I am listening. And now, let us worship.
This morning's call to worship is Invitation to Join the Journey by Lynn Cox. Come, you accidental pilgrims, you who find yourself on a journey of surprise and wonder. Come, you who emerge into this place as an act of liberation. Come, you who seek a life of mindfulness and a place to test your thoughts. Come, you who bring hearts of all kinds, heavy hearts, rusty hearts, hearts broken open in revelation, hearts full of love to share. Come, you who seek courage, and you who have more courage than you realize. Come, you who stand behind the curtain, gathering up the resources to claim your truth. Come, you who have been in a bubble, you who are poised for transformation. We begin our story again, gathering courage, love, mindfulness, and a sense of purpose. We gather as people of all ages, of different abilities, different backgrounds, and different perspectives. We share a covenant, a direction for our shared journey, and a commitment to encourage and challenge one another to spiritual growth. This path will ask much from us. Let us move forward with love. Let us move forward with appreciation for one another. Let us move forward knowing we are not alone. Whoever you are, whatever your gifts, you are welcome to join this journey.
When we gather together in covenanted community, in faith community, want to set aside a time as sacred, as separate from our everyday lives, one of the things we do is we light a chalice. So I'm going to light my chalice, and if you have one at home, feel free to light yours. And I'll just do this here. And just so you know, that is the chalice that we normally have on our chalice on our altar in the sanctuary. Let's say our chalice lighting affirmation together. We gather in loving community, inspiring one another to transform ourselves to create a more just and compassionate world. And now let's sing. Come, come, whoever you are. This is a story about how you got here. Once upon a time, the entire universe fit into a space smaller than an orange. Well, in those days, there wasn't much to see around here. No light, no stars, no earth. Until one day, there was a really, really big bang. In about the time it takes to eat an ice cream cone, all the pieces that make up our universe were created. all the stuff we're made from. You, me, your computer, this stapler, your lunch. We're all made of particles that have been around since the beginning of time. As these particles floated through the universe, some of them began to bump into each other. A few decided that they enjoyed each other's company so much that they decided to stick together. Eventually, so many particles stuck together that they began to make things. At first, they just formed ginormous dust clouds, then stars, then planets. Our home planet is called Earth. We circle around our sun with 7 or 8, depending on how you count them, other planets. But our home, this Earth, wasn't always quite as homey as it is today. At first, it was way too hot. But as the Earth cooled down a little, some of the Earth began to form land and some began to form water. Then one day, a long time ago, when the Earth was not too hot and not too cold, the water was just right for the magic to happen. The first life form appeared in that little warm water. She couldn't see, she couldn't hear. She was pretty simple, just a little tiny itsy bitsy green dot. But she had one very special trick. She could make copies of herself. And this is where all our stories start. All life on Earth came from that itsy bitsy tiny single celled green dot. You can think of her as your great, great, great times a billion, trillion, squillion granny. You, me, the trees, and whales and wolves were all related through that little green lady. All life, just one big happy family. She might have been simple, but your green dot great granny to the gazillion, well, she was no slouch, let me tell you. Through generations upon generations, her children, your ancestors, slowly adapted to make the most of life in warm water of our early planet Earth. Then, one fine day, one particularly unassuming but industrious little fish decided to see what she could see beyond the sea. Her land loving children would go on to become land animals, from dinosaurs to donkeys, yaks to you. We all trace our family tree back to that adventurous amphibian. And of course, our evolutionary adventure didn't stop there. Over unimaginable lengths of time, our ancestors adapted to life on land and then life on the trees. And from an ancestor we share with chimps, we slowly evolved into the animals we are today. Our first ancestors lived in Africa. Many of us eventually stopped wandering and began to settle down. We learned how to farm. We built villages, towns, cities, schools. And then one moment, only a few years ago in the grand scheme of things, a few of those particles that came from the stars and from Earth and Granny Green Dot, all of those particles got together to become you. You made your very special entrance into the world, and that's how you got here. You are part of a very large, very old, very remarkable family that goes back to the first instant of time. You are part of the incredible, fantastic, mysterious, unfolding story that began with a big, big, big bang.
Every week, we take a good portion of our Sunday morning offering and give it away to a social justice cause or organization outside of our church walls. This month, we are supporting the good work of Literacy Buffalo Niagara. And here's a video from their executive director, Tara Schaefer, to tell us all about it.
Hello, I'm Tara Schaefer, Executive Director of Literacy Buffalo Niagara, and I want to sincerely thank you for the opportunity to tell you about our amazing organization. We are the only agency in Western New York offering free individual tutoring to adults who struggle with reading, writing, or speaking English. We serve a diverse population, from those who never earned their high school diploma to those who may have been passed along but lack enough critical reading skills to advance in their job and in their life. We serve refugees and immigrants, many of whom speak multiple languages, but struggle with the idioms, jargon, and speed of English encountered daily at grocery stores, in schools, and in doctors' offices. The need for better literacy skills has always been crucial, but the coronavirus has highlighted the problems that disparities in reading ability creates. From understanding medical information to suddenly playing the role of teacher with your children to procuring rent relief, a lack of fundamental reading skills can put a family at a dangerous disadvantage. The heart of our agency is our one-on-one tutoring. Students come to us from all backgrounds of life, and after intake interviews and testing, they're admitted into our program. Our volunteer tutors also come to us from everywhere, and after a training process, they're matched with a student. The relationship lasts 1 year, with the pair meeting 2 hours weekly to work on areas of reading and speaking that are most important in the student's life. The pandemic slowed us down, but our students and tutors are back, meeting in person at libraries across Erie and Niagara counties. Our other programming, including English conversation groups and tutor enrichment sessions, are carefully being planned for when we are ready to return to small gatherings. We also continue our fundraising efforts, including our 2 major events, Scrabble Fest and Booked for the Evening, albeit with a virtual flair. We are truly humbled by your interest and support in our organization. If you have any questions or wish to get more information, please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you and have a blessed day.
Now you can use PayPal by going to our website, www.buffalouu.org, and clicking on the blue donate button. Or you can send a check by mail to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo, 695 Elmwood Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14222. You can also arrange a regular automatic deposit with your bank. If yours is a gift to our Share the Plate ministry, please write share on the memo line, and it will be shared between the organization of West and the church operating budget. If yours is a welcome gift to our congregation, please write Pledge 2021 on the memo line. Either way, please write UUCB on the important line, and we'll do the bookkeeping. Your generosity helps our whole community become the world of which we dream.
I've got What a world, what a life. I'm in love. I've got a song that I sing. I can make the rainbow anytime I move my finger. Lucky me, can't you see? I'm in love. Life is a beautiful thing as long as I hold the string. I'd be a silly so-and-so if I should ever let go. Won't let go. I've got the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow. Got the string around my finger. What a world, what a life. I'm in love. Merry month of May, sunny skies of blue, clouds have rolled away, and the sun peeps through, may express happiness. Joy you may define in 1,000 ways, but a case like mine needs a special phrase to reveal how I feel. I've got the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow, got the string around my finger. What a world, what a life, I'm in love. I've got a song that I sing, I can make the rainbow anytime I move my finger. Lucky me, can't you see, I'm in love. Life is a beautiful thing as long as I hold that string. I'd be a silly so-and-so if I should ever let go. I've got the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow, got the string around my finger. What a world, what a life, I'm in love.
This morning's reading is from Green Space, Green Time by Connie Barlow. The evolutionary epic is probably the best myth we will ever have. This sentence stopped me in my tracks when I came upon it a decade ago. Since then, I have come to agree with its author, Edward O. Wilson, and then some. The evolutionary epic is indeed the best myth our kind has stumbled upon in its tens of thousands of years of weaving stories to explain this fabulous world of ours and our place in it. Myth as falsehood is not the usage intended. Rather, myth as the grand narrative that provides the people with a placement in time, a meaningful placement that celebrates extraordinary moments of a shared heritage. Those of us who have not only learned but embraced the scientific story of our roots know ourselves to be reworked stardust, biological beings with a multi-billion-year pedigree. We know these facts deeply, and for us the story evoked is as empowering as any tale that has ever come alive in the flames of a fire at the mouth of a cave or in the vaulting echoes of a cathedral. For us, the history of life and the universe as told by science becomes more than a sequence of strange and arresting events. It becomes our personal and shared story, our creation story, our sacred story.
Let's join our hearts and minds in a quiet moment of prayer, reflection, and meditation. Take a moment to listen and feel your quiet breathing. Listen to and feel the pumping of your precious heart. Inhale. Exhale. We rest on this forming moment of creation, ready to tumble into the unknown. Even now, even in this time of isolation and separation, even now, life reaches out to life, holding us together in our shared uncertainty. We are connected. We are connected in all the ways we understand loving friendships, family, neighbors, ecology, stardust, an infinite, inescapable network of mutuality, the holy nature of love flowing through creation. We are connected. Life reaching out to life. We are connected through shared stories, stories of culture, faith, fairy tales, histories, binding us together in strength and threatening to drive us apart through intolerance, demanding that we stay curious, to stay in community, that we listen with our hearts to create peace and justice. And we are connected in mystery and miracle in ways we will never understand and cannot ever understand, in ways we are never meant to understand. We're connected. Simply know deep in your heart that this is true, so we can tumble into the future together, life reaching out to life. Today, we specially hold in our hearts all kinds of Petrocellis. Tom and John are celebrating birthdays this week. So we are very delighted that you are part of our lives. And Laura is graduating with a master's in social work on May 15th. Needless to say, her parents are very proud of her, and we hold her in our hearts as she sets out on a new chapter of her life. Congratulations go to Fran Manley, who just celebrated a birthday. What a blessing she is to the world. Felicitations to Tracy Castman and her husband, John, who met 28 years ago today. And we hold Sarah Martin in our hearts as she completes her ministry with us as Director of Religious Education. The world awaits all her gifts of love and care. Grateful for the time we were able to blossom under her leadership. Faithful that she will find fulfillment wherever she goes. Our thoughts are with Marion Reslow, who is recovering from an accident with a fractured hand and bruised ribs. We sent healing thoughts to Carol Condon, who is recovering at home after a serious procedure. And our deepest sympathies are with the friends and families of Donata Ahern. Donata, an active member of our daily Zoom lunch bunch, passed away this week. And now let us open our worship space to the names of all our loved ones suffering in sorrow and celebrating in joy. Each name a breath, each breath a prayer.
They paved paradise paradise, put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go? You don't know what you've got till it's gone. They pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, ba, 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 ba. Ooh, ba, 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 ba. They took all the trees and put them in a tree museum. Then they charged the people $1.50 just to see 'em. Don't it always seem to go? You don't know what you've got till it's gone. They pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, ba, 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 ba. Ooh, ba, 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 ba. Hey, farmer, farmer, put away that DDT now. Give me spots on my apples, or maybe the birds and the bees. Please, don't it always seem to go? You don't know what you've got till it's gone. They pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, ba, 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 ba. Ooh, ba, 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 ba. Late last night, I heard the screen door slam, and a big yellow taxi took away my old man. Don't it always seem to go? You don't know what you've got till it's gone. They pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, ba, 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 ba. I said, don't it always seem to go? You don't know what you've got till it's gone. They pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, ba, 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 ba. They pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Ba, ba, ba. They pave paradise, put up a parking lot.
The breath of nature is upon us. The spirit of life is within us. The community of love is among us. So be it. Blessed be, and let the church say, Amen. Once upon a time, for a very short time, I studied moss in the Arctic. Now, when you study moss, you have to have your face very close to the ground, as you might imagine. So there I was lying face down on the rocky ground in the tundra, looking at a very large, handsome patch of moss when something strange caught my eye. And I'm going to show it to you now because, and if you can see this here, it is a jet black rock speckled with perfectly equidistant white polka dots. Those are not painted on, those are part of the rock. Well, that was it. I grabbed the rock and I brought it home. I stuffed it in my pocket. I went back to camp and handed the rock to our resident geologist. And I said, okay, Trish, explain this to me like I'm a 2-year-old. How did this rock get its polka dots? Well, she looked at it and smiled. And she said, oh, well, that's fossilized coral, Joan. This high Arctic desert was once at the bottom of a tropical ocean. At the same time, while this was a tropical ocean teeming with fish and sea slugs, our human ancestors had managed to crawl out onto land, evolve into mammals, and were creeping around 20 feet off the ground, something akin to tree shrews. All right, guys, I want to show you what a tree shrew looks like with Justin's help here. This is what a tree shrew is. Needless to say, my mind was blown, and I have not yet quite recovered from that mind blowing. Finding that polka dotted rock introduced me to my great, great, great to the gazillion granny, and she was small, furry, and strangely cute and nasty looking at the same time. Rocks and tree shrews aside, all kinds of people eventually ask the same big questions. Who am I? How did I get here? What is the nature of the universe? And storytellers of all walks of life, all different cultures, will offer answers to those big questions. Some of them are theologians, there are scientists, artists, poets, historians, just to name a few. One of the stories we tell to answer all our big questions is the story of the Big Bang. Our whole universe was in a hot, dense state. Then, nearly 14 billion years ago, expansion started. Wait. The earth began to cool, the autotrophs began to drool. Neanderthals developed tools. We built a wall. We built the pyramids. Math, science, history, unraveling the mysteries that all started with the Big Bang. Hey! But that Big Bang is just a story. Possibly the best myth we will ever have, but it's just a theory. And we don't even really know what happened at the beginning of the story. We don't have all the facts. Nobody was actually there taking notes, making measurements, or capturing any data at all. Those who tell us the storytellers, are astrophysicists, and they don't know how the Big Bang banged or why. They don't know what happened in those first moments, that in that time it took for the ice cream cone to be eaten. Remember, between the beginning of the bang and that first inkling of particle creation, they don't know. It's all still a mystery. The Big Bang Theory is a story that some of us tell to answer those big questions. Who am I? How did I get here? What is the nature of the universe? It's a creation myth of conjecture based on the data we have on hand today using the tools we have at the moment. Now, that all leaves us in sort of a precarious place. Things can get pretty scary when all we have understood, all we have believed, all certainty, all we know about life, the universe, and everything, things can get pretty scary when all the answers our stories have told us collapse like a house of cards. It gets pretty scary when we have more or less figured out how to manage reality, only to discover that all of reality has suddenly shifted and we don't have any answers at all. I mean, did you ever imagine that you would be going to church on your computer? Did you ever imagine that going to the movies would be a danger to your life? Did you ever imagine that you couldn't hug your beloveds for fear of killing them? I sure didn't. The story I shared with my community was that the church building where I'm sitting right now, that this church building was the home of the congregation. The flaming chalice that was downstairs on our altar, well, that was our hearth fire. The songs we sang together sanctified our sanctuary. And our physical gathering made our hour together holy. But then a page turned, the plot twisted and thickened and deepened? Apparently, there's more to our story than we thought. The thing about stories is that they have beginnings, middles, endings, and then more beginnings. They have pages, chapters, verses. And all those endings along the way, all those endings, even if it's just the end of a sentence, the end of a chapter, endings can be hard. Endings are a goodbye, a little death, an extinction. The Reverend Manish Misra Marzetti reminds us that everything about our existence points towards change, flexibility, and dynamic recreation. And it's hard because change involves loss. He asks us, can we hold the losses well while not holding ourselves back? Can we mourn our losses deeply, truly, while we embrace our evolution, while we reform ourselves, while we adapt to our changing environment? Can we become who we are becoming in wholeness as we experience the inherent flexibility and dynamic recreation of existence? Can we gracefully tumble into the unknown? Can we tell a story that keeps revealing something different and new? Today, we are beginning another stage in our shared story. Our church is changing. It's a changing, evolving creation. And right now, we need to take some time to mourn an ending, the loss of Sarah Martin from our church staff. Name that sadness. Eventually, in time, we will be able to take a breath and believe enough in our future to see the possibilities that she left for us. We've done it before. We can do it again. We're not starting another story, just beginning to muse about our next chapter. Something changes, something ends, we mourn a loss, and a multiverse of possibility awaits beyond. We can't stop here, even though everything seemed so good and so right and now hurts so much. Can we hold our losses while not holding ourselves back? Although the story of the Big Bang is just a story about dynamic recreation and evolution, although the story of the Big Bang is just a theory and a myth, it might be the best story we have to answer all our big questions. Often, when I tell people stories, they ask me, they say, is that true? Well, here's the thing about truth and facts. Facts are pretty hard to pin down. Only the tiniest bits of existence are objectively true, and they are mostly irrelevant when it comes to what matters, right? Even the Pythagorean theory, remember that thing, the Pythagorean theory, that thing about how right angled triangles and how if you know two sides of the triangle, well, then you can figure out the length of the third. Here's thank you, Justin, for throwing that up there. Just to remind y'all, this is the Pythagorean theory. Well, as far as I know, there are no exceptions to this rule, and it's still considered just a theory. Science says, gee whiz, we think this is true, but all the evidence points to this rule being objective reality. This is objective reality, we think. But we're holding out because we know the story is still not over. Even the hardest core scientists leave space in reality for possibility and mystery. Now, if we don't even claim to know the whole truth about right-angled triangles, things we can actually measure on paper, then how can we be sure about the way a proton moves, or the beginning of the universe, how the multiverse was created? Maybe we can't be sure about someone else's lived experience, or even our own memories, or how a virus is going to behave. We tell stories when in fact it's all a mystery. What an adventure we find ourselves in, right? We come as accidental pilgrims to these big questions of who am I? Where did I come from? What is the nature of the universe? We come as accidental pilgrims who find ourselves on a journey of surprise and wonder. Accidental, one slight change in the course of any one atom, a tiny wobble in the Earth's orbit, a chance non-meeting of your biological tree shrew ancestors. Anything, and the accident that is you, precious, sacred, wondrous you, would be a completely different accident, or nothing at all. I'm really glad it's you. Friends, we are accidental pilgrims living in a chapter of an unfolding story, resting perhaps on this forming moment, ready to tumble, or maybe excited to leap into the unknown. May we do so in curiosity, with love, with hope, and with our hearts in a holy place. Let's join in singing When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, when we hear our voices in each other's words, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place,
And now join with me in speaking the words on your screen as we extinguish our chalice. As we extinguish the flame of this chalice, may we carry its light with us into the world in the power of peace, faith, justice, and love.
Just going to blow out our chalice. Reminded that we are particle and players in this amazing, ongoing, revealing multiverse. Let us go forth for the mystery of this hour, encouraged to celebrate and to remember all of creation. Remember that each of you, each of us, is a precious member of this family of all things. Remember that you're blessed. Remember that you are a blessing. And above all else, remember, you are not alone. You are never alone. So be it. Blessed be. And let the church say, Amen.